Hello my friends, on the channel I speak not just about Ukraine, but I touched Iranian topic and the escalation, the new war that erupted a few months ago that was started by the United States of America and Israel. Well, from American side it was the Epic Fury operation, but just 2 days ago on his 80th birthday Donald Trump announced the so-called peace deal, which was achieved, negotiated, and everything goes right according to plan. United States has reached all of the goals and the Strait of Hormuz is going to open and we're gonna live in prosperity and stuff like that. Well, here in this video I want to yap about the topic and compare reality with Trump imagination world. So that is what Donald Trump posted just yesterday. This great deal will bring peace and security to the whole region. Many presidents have tried to make peace with Iran and all have failed before me. He also mentioned in previous tweets the Barack Obama deal, which was a total mess. According to Donald Trump, the leaders of the region have for the first time found a president who can help them achieve real peace. Yeah, a few months ago he just started the war, now he finishes the war, so probably he ends one more war in his list. With the opening of the strait upon the signing of the deal on Friday, so I'm recording this one on Monday, before Donald Trump told that the deal was agreed, it was supported by Iran, everything is working already, but now he says that it will be signed, so it's not yet been achieved. And guys, it's not the peace deal, it's the memorandum. In memorandum, there is the intention of both of the sides to finish hostiles and to proceed in diplomatic way to resolve the problem. Even in memorandum, there is the time gap of 1 month for the Strait of Hormuz still to be closed, and it will allow the sides to negotiate and later on probably to open it. And about memorandums, you probably know the real value of those documents. The Budapest Memorandum is probably the most famous one. So Trump expects the memorandum to be signed on Friday. Probably it's gonna happen in Switzerland, but it's just a declaration towards the movement to the real peace deal, but for Donald Trump it's already the peace deal. For purposes of mine removal, oil will flow on both ends again for the region and the world. Okay, so Donnie is as usual optimistic. And just 2 days before that, Donald Trump threatened Iran with the ultimate weapon that the United States have, probably nuclear weapons. My friends, just a short reminder, please press like to this video just right now while you're watching it, and also subscribe for the channel. My friends, if you can, you may also support my job on Patreon, the link for it is in the video description right below, or join membership of YouTube channel by pressing button join. You're awesome, you're the best, you're making this content possible. My friends, let's continue with the video. And the thing that Trump always blames Obama for the very terrible deal with Iran, that Iran has received lots of the money for their budget, and for those money they fund the proxies, they start more escalations, and who knows, maybe October the 7th also happened because of the finances Iran obtained and sent those to Hamas, yeah? But at the same time, there was an interesting remark from J.D. Vance. He confirms that Iran may obtain $300 billion because of the deal. So report says that Iranians are saying that they're gonna have access to $300 billion reconstruction fund. True or false, J.D. Vance? And J.D. responded that that's the sort of the thing they could have access to so long as they honor their end of obligation. So what Iran has to do to obtain those monies just to agree with those demands, at least on the paper. Moreover, reports claim, and today we have the confirmation, that Iran obtains already $24 billion in the United States currency, United States money directly. Well, according to multiple of the sources, but J.D. Vance says that it's the fake news. Well, at the same time, there were some of the suspicious flights from UAE to Iran, and as rumors say that money were delivered, but yeah, it's very hard to cross-check because there are lots of the things happening behind the curtain. But the fact is the fact, the United States of America spent billions of dollars on Epic Fury operation. There were losses in the United States Army, both human losses and also vehicles. And now it looks like the United States of America has to pay some sort of the reparations to Iran without the real change of the regime, just because they're saying that they may agree with the Trump's peace deal or Trump's memorandum. The main thing here is, of course, uranium that Iran managed to enrich, and they still hesitate to say openly whether they're gonna to give it to the United States or not. Negotiations are ongoing, but I think that Iran will not give those things to the United States. And by the way, Israel plays its own separate role here, and it has its own interests. And for Israel, of course, this peace deal or memorandum deal is a betrayal of the interests of Israel and Netanyahu personally. But it's all about Donald Trump. I remember how Israelis were cheerful. Yes, Donald Trump may not be okay with Ukraine, but we still support him because he is very loyal to Israel. He follows our policy. He will support Israel no matter what. But now it seems like he stabs Israel in the back and he's calling Netanyahu names. Again, there were the leaks about him swearing on Netanyahu, and Netanyahu did absolutely everything for the deal not to happen. But it looks like he was pushed too much already, and Israel will still remain with its forces in Lebanon, it seems like. But Netanyahu 2 days ago bombed Beirut in Lebanon to cause some sort of the retaliation reaction from Iran, and that might have cancelled the deal, even memorandum. But actually, Americans managed to change the situation, and Iran didn't respond. So still there are contacts, maybe at Marco Rubio level, but for sure it's not Witkoff and Kushner. Maybe intelligence also negotiates. Well, anyways, Iran didn't strike back, and they now have the will to sign this memorandum. Maybe it might happen on Friday, but again, it's not the peace deal. It just opens the perspective for it to be reached at some point, and let's go to our slides, the explanation about what had happened and what will happen in Iran and in Middle East. So about Epic Fury operation, the strikes were conducted on Iran, as Donald Trump said, Navy destroyed, Air Force destroyed, which was really outdated. And by the way, there were videos published recently that F-4 Phantom fighter jets were still flying, so maybe they were stored in some of the caves and they continue to operate, which means that not the entire Air Force of Iran was wiped out by the strikes of Israel and the United States. So strikes hit major targets inside Iran. We're speaking about military bases, lots of the vehicles, ballistic missile launchers, drone factories, and so on. But still, lots of the stuff was intact. Again, with the caves and with the ceasefire, Iran already got 2/3 of the access to its military capabilities, which were blocked in the caves. So definitely there was the damage done to Iran. Iran military suffered, but it didn't lose the complete capability. That's what Donald Trump tried to say us many of the times, that they have no military, they completely devastated. We won this war, he said about it also multiple of the times. But at the same time, for example, the last week, Iran shot down Apache helicopter near the Strait of the Hormuz. Luckily, crew survived and was evacuated. But that's the reality. Iran still has the military, which is quite large, infantry forces, they have drones, and they might frighten commercial vessels, and not just commercials, in the Strait of Hormuz. But the most interesting thing that Iranian regime stayed in power, so day one the strike was successful on Khamenei, wiping him and his generals out completely. That particular strike on Khamenei was well planned, but the regime stays the same. It's more decentralized, and I would say it's even more hostile. RGC, who are fanatics, they have more power, and the current leader, who is the son of Khamenei, Mojtaba Khamenei, that's his name. Well, he is younger and he lost so many relatives that I don't understand how would he sign any sort of the deal with the United States, shaking hands. I don't think that it's possible for this type of the regime which is currently in power in Iran. So I'm still very skeptical about the peace deal. Could be some of the memorandums, but the final deal, I think it's unachievable because of the differences in approach by the United States of America and by Iranian current management. Retaliation and military pressure continue to June, yes, even though it was declared as some sort of the ceasefire a couple of months ago, but the strikes happened. And Iran launched some of the drones, even ballistics, on Israel, on nearby Gulf countries, and also in the United States of America hit some of the bases, together with Israel. So because Trump saw that he is unable to achieve the result on the front lines, without deploying the ground forces, he shifted from the force towards a deal, and he understood the trap he went into, starting this war and the Epic Fury operation. I think after all he got it. So now he tries to exit the conflict by any sort of the means, but Israel is against that, and Israel tries to sabotage absolutely everything, and that was the reason for Beirut strike that happened 2 days ago. So if we take the general goal of this special military operation that was started both by Israel and the United States, it's the clear betrayal by Donald Trump of his ally Netanyahu in the region. Before he declared one thing, now he's even pushing Israel to withdraw the forces because Iran is not okay with that. And Israelis, they feel what other people feel, like Taiwanese and also Ukrainians, the betrayal of the current White House administration. Then Donald Trump is just like the scared piggy, then he sees the resistance. He tries to run away and make some sort of the deal, hide or drop responsibility from him. He's very brave in Truth Social, and he might even start the military action, but then he sees the resistance, he doesn't know what to do, and he is running away. And on the way, he is pushing not his enemies, but his allies. That is what's happening with Israel. Well, Donald Trump at first was really stupid to start the Epic Fury operation, and personally, I think that he was pushed by Netanyahu for that, and I think it's evident for most of the people around. So result of this Epic Fury operation, the destruction increased, but strategic clarity did not. And there were also losses in American bases. The defense was done really terrible. There was no even cooperation with Ukraine that has drone interceptors, and lots of the drones hit American aircraft, and also they hit buildings with American soldiers inside, American servicemen. There were losses, and no protection was granted for the soldiers, like no underground coverage. I was really surprised about that. You have military bases, you have Iran nearby, drones are flying, like what the hell is happening? Then you didn't build some of the underground dugouts and operation centers, which are more safe. No, they just put concrete blocks, and it's not the protection. Yeah, of course, Iran burned more damages, but as for the short Epic Fury operation, the losses from the United States side, they're also big. So why Trump pushes now the deal or tackles out from the war? The goal was narrow: to prevent a nuclear crisis and avoid a wider war. Trump repeatedly framed the issue as no Iran nuclear weapon, and he still demands that, and Israel demands that. I would say that's the only point that the United States and Israel agree right now on. But the main point that Iran doesn't agree on that. So continued escalation risks dragging the United States deeper into war. Yeah, the failure to change the regime brings two of the scenarios. First one, people of Iran change regime themselves, but they see the external threat, so they will not do it. And the second variant is like it was in Afghanistan, in Iraq. You need to deploy ground forces, but Iran is not Afghanistan. Iran is not Iraq. The country has a very large population. RGC keeps control over it, and they are more organized in resistance. Also, from the geographical perspective, the country is just madness to invade. And the smaller special operation to evacuate so-called nuclear dust, as Donald Trump says that, well, it's not possible. It's too complicated, and it should be performed on multiple of the facilities because Iran split the production of enriched uranium. And Donald Trump is so concerned about it that it gives us the clue that the strikes of B-2 bombers the last year, they were not that successful as expected and said before by Donald Trump. The next main factor is the shipping through the Strait of Hormuz and oil prices, which are rising also for the United States market. MAGA would like to say that we are profiting from it because we are selling our oil elsewhere, and definitely the United States of America became #1 exporter of the oil in the world because of this war. But nevertheless, the market is global, so oil prices are rising everywhere, also in the United States of America. Maybe it's kind of profitable for those oil companies to sell their oil abroad now rather than on internal market, because those guys, they pay more money, and it brings even more crisis for locals in the United States. I mean, fuel prices, they're rising even higher. So the more you export, the higher the prices, the better it is for those corporations, not for citizens. More strikes promise more damage, not necessarily a clean victory. Yes, even the ground operation, a massive one, doesn't guarantee the victory for the United States and change the regime. And there is the playbook of Afghanistan that shows that you might have a very advanced army, but after all, you might withdraw it. And it was kind of the humiliation for the United States back then. In Iran, it could have been even worse. A deal offered Trump a way to claim the de-escalation and control the narrative. So yeah, Donald Trump is pushing for the deal to have this upper hand. He swears on Netanyahu, he pushes Iran, so he's like this macho guy in those negotiations. He's number one attractor of the attention in this crisis. So the deal is the exit strategy of Donald Trump from this war, and that's the only purpose. The question again lies with enriched uranium, but the general idea is to restore what it was before the Epic Fury operation, because Epic Fury and what is happening in the Strait of Hormuz with Iran is way not popular for Republicans and in general for Trump's administration. Again, Epic Fury fell short, military targets were hit and pressure was real, but the regime survived and system did not collapse. There was no regime change, no stable regional settlement. Iran remained a destabilizing regional actor after the strikes. The war proved that destruction alone cannot solve Iranian problem. Yes, only ground invasion may resolve it, but that would mean the draft in the United States Army, because for the operation like that in Iran, that has 90 million people of population, you need kind of decisive force, hundreds of thousands of soldiers. We witnessed that in the war in Ukraine, how Russia tries to get more ground and loses thousands of men every week. And the technical advantage here with the ground operation plays less role, especially with the Iranian case, because they might have lots of the drones. The United States is still not reaching the level of the modern-day drone army. So Epic Fury showed force, but not workable end game. And that's why there is the new strategy to just exit everything. But how to do it with less losses? I mean, reputational and physical losses. Because just imagine, you change the regime for the worst one, and you leave them enriched uranium, you leave them the control over the Strait of Hormuz. Those are still the demands of Iranian regime for the United States and for Israel. That is what they want. And also they want compensation. $300 billion also on freezing frozen assets. And for Israel, yes, it's crazy, because their enemy will have lots of the cards in this case. But for Donald Trump, he doesn't really care, I think, mainly about that stuff. I guess just about enriched uranium. The rest, like whether Iran gets money or not, whether it will be capable to strike Israel once again via proxies, for Donald Trump, it's like he doesn't care. So there's the complete different approach from Donald Trump and Netanyahu. Alliance held, but the strategic gap became visible, and now they even argue, they're swearing between each other. It was leaked to the press multiple of the times. Trump moved towards de-escalation and emerging Iran understanding. Netanyahu wanted pressure to continue on Iran and Hezbollah. That's what he's doing in Lebanon, starting a ground operation and bombing Beirut. That's what Iran doesn't like, and Iran puts Lebanon deal as the part of the peace deal between the United States and Iran. And that's why Donald Trump pushes Netanyahu now to stop the military action. Basically, there is no common solution even between allies who started this war. Lebanon became the most sensitive point of disagreement. Yes, because of the Israeli strikes in Lebanon, there was new escalation wave the last week and the previous one. And in a way, it's the personal leverage of Netanyahu of how not to make the deal to happen between Iran and the United States. Israel fears that any pause could leave Hezbollah intact, but now Iran and Donald Trump, they're calling Netanyahu to even withdraw the forces completely from Lebanon. Well, it's kind of the bad analogy, but I have to say about it. Donald Trump and Russia are calling Ukraine to withdraw the forces from their own controlled territory. So it's kind of usual that Donald Trump would call his ally to withdraw the forces from another country, even though Israel has completely different look and approach towards that thing, which I personally do not support. So Washington wants limits, Israel wants stronger security guarantees. Security guarantees, also reminds me something. The partnership survived? Well, still yes, there is the partnership, and Israel has its own influence in the United States of America. It continued to receive military support, financial support from the United States, and I don't think that globally something might change with Israel, but there is the crack in relations, and it happened faster than I thought actually. That Donald Trump, kind of the loyal to Israel now shouts at Netanyahu openly, not hiding that. And the action of Israel on Lebanon, it's not popular all around the world, so definitely Netanyahu digs him down, his own personal reputation and the support of Israel, because they bomb not just Hezbollah, they ruin entire villages, towns, and, Beirut, the capital city, very beautiful city, and it was attacked by Israel, and lots of the civilian losses again and again. That's what Ukrainians experience after the Russian strike, so I do not support that operation of Israel, absolutely. You may throw rotten tomatoes at me, but I don't really care. I don't like Netanyahu, I don't like Donald Trump, and I don't like RGC, Iranian current regime. Israel says that the central goal is disarming Hezbollah, but at the same time they start the occupation of the country and also they demolish local population, which is called a genocide. Hezbollah remains tied to Iran's strategy. Yeah, basically those are proxies, but the way how Israel deals with that, it is not good. Israel strikes the border fighting, keeps Lebanon unstable. Civilians in Lebanon bear the highest cost, then escalation returns. If Lebanon flares up again, any broader deal could quickly unravel. And that could be the goal of Israel. They don't want any sort of the peace deal. They don't want negotiations, memorandum between the United States and Iran. And they openly tell about it. Netanyahu is angry about that deal. So what might happen next? The most realistic variants, fragile deal talks continue, but mistrust remains high. Not just between Iran and the United States, but also between the United States and Israel. Lebanon war may intensify again, pressured cycle, missile shipping threats, and retaliation could return at any moment. At this stage, it's understandable. We are at the time where even not a memorandum was signed, but the deal was announced by Donald Trump as usual, so we should take it with a huge grains of salt. So Iran will try to preserve deterrence, not surrender. Yes, Iran still holds its maximalistic demands on the United States that it will control the Strait of Hormuz together with Oman. They'll keep enriched uranium and they need money to restore the country, so-called reparations. And it seems like it could be like the variant for Donald Trump to exit the war. According to JD Vance, that's what I understood. It's gonna be a catastrophe for Israel personally, if that happens. Yeah, the map is kind of strange there, and I'm sorry guys, I'm making those slides with the help of the artificial intelligence because I'm not the artist myself and it takes lots of the time to construct those without AI. I'm sorry, but it keeps my thought running through the video just for you to understand everything in more convenient way. So for now, it's uncertainty that remains the clearest outcome of this epic fury of the diplomatic negotiations. Yeah, basically we don't know what to expect, and if there is no peace deal reached, it's gonna escalate. That's my opinion, but we'll see. So yes guys, it was my personal look on the events happening. I'm not speaking too much about Middle East, Iran, but in this video I want to say about it because, yeah, the deal is reached, as many people say, but actually it's not, so I want to emphasize the current situation, again, according to my opinion, and you may have your own, and you may type it in the comment section. Also, my friends, if you can, you may support my job on Patreon. The link for it is in the video description right below, or join membership of YouTube channel by pressing button join. You are awesome, you are making this content possible. And also guys, don't forget to press like to this video and subscribe for the channel. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are and have a great time.